Hello, hello. We are back again. Hello, hello. We are back again. And today I will actually be reading you chapter 2. To those who tuned in yesterday, the title of the book is Burnout Watch, a global guide to mental wellness through mind, body, and spirit. That is the one I'm going to be reading from. And we are now in chapter 2. And this will be the last chapter because I would like for you to go out, find it, and read it yourselves. Thank you for joining. And I pray that you will find it useful and helpful. Why am I wearing my lovely whistle? Because I am here to sound the alarm, to blow the whistle and say burnout is at an alarming rate. And I'm also here to point the way, to say what we can do as humanity to serve ourselves, because burnout is not going away by itself. We will have to take matters in our own hands. You as yourself will need to educate yourself and equip yourself on how to handle burnout, how to stop it and become victorious in your life. So I'll get reading because it's going to be long, hopefully just over an hour or under an hour. I don't mind. So here we go. Chapter 2, the scope of the problem. The most dangerous illnesses are the ones we have normalized. What do I mean by this? You hear people being told, it's okay, you don't need to get rid of it. You can manage it. You can learn to cope with it. And we will fund you to help you keep it. Although these sound okay, they cripple people, and people do not want to get rid of things that are destroying them. So I'm here to say, get rid of it. Get rid of burnout. Recognize it. Get rid of it. Acknowledge that it actually exists, because that is the first stage. If you do not acknowledge that it exists, or want to know that it is a thing, then you are not going to want to deal with it because it's non-existent. I gave you an analogy yesterday about a bird burying its head in the sand. Just because it buried its head in the sand doesn't mean the problem went away. The animal, the prey, might just come and eat it with its head still buried in the sand. So let's remove our heads from the sand and tackle this problem head on. Burnout isn't trending, it's boiling beneath the surface of everyday life. It's the overwhelmedness who smiles through exhaustion, the young adult quietly slipping into despair, the parents snapping at their children for no reason at all, the pastor still preaching, yet their soul is now dry. All signs of something deeply systematic, but often misunderstood. Burnout is somewhere, and yet we treat it like it's nowhere, invisible, minimized, or mistaken for weakness. That denial is actually what gives burnout its power. Therefore, let's open our eyes and start recognizing it. Yesterday, I gave you the symptoms. If you start feeling worn out, if you start feeling, what's the point? If you start feeling, I just can't do this anymore. If you start feeling, I've heard it up to here. If you start feeling you cannot sleep anymore, illnesses have just skyrocketed. But this was not your usual you. You used to be happy, you used to be full of beans, but now you can't even concentrate. Tasks that used to take you like 5 minutes are taking you 30 minutes. All those are signs of burnout. So take a step back and do something about it. Re-evaluate your life. See where you missed it. Okay, like I said, burnout is everywhere, and yet we treat it like it's nowhere. Invisible, minimized, or mistaken for weakness. That denial is exactly what gives burnout its power. So we are taking the power away from burnout. No more, no more. Sound the alarm, blow the whistle on burnout. Burnout, you've been found out, and out you go. Yeah? Yes. The numbers don't lie. What do I mean? I'm just going to give you a quick statistical overview of what's happening worldwide. Well, I'm not going to give you the whole world. I'm going to give you some parts. 60 to 70% of workers across multiple industries report feeling used up. That is quite a high number of people. They feel used up or emotionally exhausted by their jobs. 33% of newly qualified nurses are said to leave their profession within 2 years. Why? Because of increased demand, aging population, unwillingness to work under present work conditions. And some of these work conditions include the pay, the workload, and staff shortages. What they learned in school is not mirroring what they're experiencing in real life. So their expectations versus reality, that's the other reason many people end up leaving. Because reality versus expectation not matching. 43% of nurses considering leaving the profession, and 43% of nurses are considering leaving the profession, and 31% have actually left the profession altogether. According to Forbes, 66% of workers in the US have reported burnt out just in this year, in 2025. And this is thought to be the highest it has ever been. 66, that is quite a high number. And it is the youngest workers that are burning out, with 81% thought to be in the age range of 18 to 24-year-olds, and 83% thought to be 25 to 34-year-olds. Wow, wow, wow. Parents, help your children. And the UK has reported that a third of the working population is thought to have already experienced burnout. A third. That is quite a high number. I was looking at our population. If I'm not mistaken, we are over 67 million. So a third of that. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Is thought to have already experienced burnout, and this was due to unrealistic work expectation, back to work expectations, because the work keeps piling, different kinds of paperwork keep coming, new technology, get on board, Get with it. So unrealistic work expectations, heavy workloads, different kinds. And I'm touching on nursing because I am from a nursing background, but I know this could apply elsewhere. So I will talk about what I really know about. 12-hour shift at a fast pace, doing 3, 4 or so, that is back breaking. But I'll leave it at that. There are strategies you can deploy as a human to help reinvigorate yourself, to help reframe your mindset, because the battle is being won or lost in the mind. Let me keep reading. Today I want to keep it short because if I keep taking detours, I'm going to be here for long. I don't want to be here for long. I just want to read and then I'll go, oh, this one was not a good idea. It's very warm. Oh my days, it's very warm. No, I won't take it off. I'll keep it on. I thought it looked nice, but whew, whew. So if I start bidding, you know why, it's quite warm. Anyway, like I was saying, unrealistic work expectations, heavy workload, different kinds of work pressures from management and co-workers, new tech, and the ever-evolving workplace. Just remember, think back to your workplace when you first started, especially if you've been in the same workplace for 10 years. Just think back how things were, how you used to do things. When I first started work, we used to do everything on paper. We were writing everything on paper. It was so easy, and a patient would just come in, you just start, you read the discharge summary, you read the lab results. It was nice and straightforward. You do, and the patients were coming in at a normal pace, nice, steady pace. And then all of a sudden, we are getting rid of paper. Computers came in, training, sharpish, as if we are IT experts. I'm not saying we're not given training. We're given training, but you need to pick it up just like that. Obviously, you keep learning, and now everything is on computer. The rate of the patient also increased because of the aging population, new diseases, this and this, all sorts of things. You are learning to use the tech. You are having to still do your pace. I won't get into it. I said I was not taking any more details, but I was just giving you an example of unrealistic work expectation. Reality is to take an extensive training on the new tech you are going to be having, and then use it. That will be ideal. But in reality, no, that you have to learn on the job, which is silly now to ask people to have experience, because you are learning on the job anyway. So what's this experience business? You're going to have to learn anyway. No? I leave it at that. Finally, according to the global survey that has been carried out, 48% of workers are currently struggling with burnout. These are staggering statistics, and something needs to be done to address this issue. If we continue to ignore the issue, the workforce will continue to shrink, because worldwide people are leaving their jobs. They're running from career to career, pillar to post, because they're trying to find something manageable. But it is a matter of the organization to also be aware that just because new technology has been introduced doesn't mean people have picked it up just like that. They need to sit the people down, explain why this tech has been introduced, explain where the company is headed, teach the people how to use the tech before it is actually implemented. That is ideal. And guess what? The number of stressed out workers will reduce because there's no pressure of having to implement it. You are learning how to use it behind the scenes. And when you just have fairly got the concept, then and you work together to tweak it before it is implemented. They call it iterative. So little by little, then you are working with the people who are going to be using the technology, not to just go bring something that people have no clue about. And then, anyway, let me leave it. I said I was leaving it, but you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. Work with your workers. Yeah, work with your workers. Because they know the work better than you. You are doing something different in the office. So they know the technology better than management. They will even give you better ideas if you include them. So I leave it at that. I said I was sticking to the thing. Let me read all my days. Or I should stop saying that. Whatever comes out, comes out. Yeah? Yeah. Then I'll stop apologizing all the time. If we continue to ignore the issues, the workforce will continue to shrink. And guess what? Robots cannot replace all humans because there's this fear that all jobs will be replaced by AI. Robots cannot replace humans. There are some jobs robots cannot do. It is as simple as, take for example, dementia patients. What is the AI going to do for them? Apart from confusing them. But I leave it at that. You be the judge of that. And besides, AI needs humans to train it, to feed information into it. So you can never do away with humans and completely leave the computer to do everything, because it needs a human to be inputting information. You, when you are interacting with your ChatGPT or whatever, this new technology you have on your phone which you ask answers, it is learning how you speak. It is learning the kind of things you like. So you personally are feeding information into that AI you are interacting with. So your input is needed. If you don't interact with it, it will never get to know you. So it won't be any clever. But your input, your interaction with it is what is making it clever. So it cannot be clever by itself. That's why AI cannot completely replace humans. But we as humans, let's not hate AI. Let us learn how to use it so that we will use it to our advantage. And this fear of it replacing us will be put to shame because we have embraced it, we have acknowledged it. This is where the world is headed. Whether we like it or not, most people are going to have to use AI in their daily jobs. And those who refuse to learn to use it, the stress is going to mount up even more. The burnout is just going to burn you up to a crisp and you have to leave that job. So those who are clever are going to embrace AI, learn how to use it. Prompt engineering, learn how to use it so that when your boss says, you have learned how to use it. You do it. It's not going to stress you out. And you managers, so train the staff. Let there be funding to train the people using those new tech that are coming. But AI is coming hot in your workplaces. It is coming. Whether you want it or not, it is coming. So learn how to use it. Start looking around, start learning, find out what is coming and learn how to use it to your advantage. Those who learn how to use it will thrive. Those who refuse to learn how to use it will dwindle and, yes, will be replaced, not by AI, by people who are willing to use it and who know how to do it. I just thought I would say that as a matter of fact. Anyway, moving on. Like I was saying here, robots cannot replace the humans. The humans need to feed information into it daily. It's time we address the workplace culture and cultural contributors. Why is this? Because poor leadership and heavy workloads are the main reasons people gave as a reason for their burnout. This is because they contribute to a stressful work environment. Yeah, I think I won't get into it. But if you have a stressful boss, you will be stressed. If you have a friendly boss, you will not be stressed as much. Your work will stress you, but it will be okay. Now imagine the work, the boss, you're in trouble. So your work environment matters. I'm not going to touch much on it. I just thought I would talk about it in passing. This is because they contribute to a stressful work environment. Thus, it is only logical to look at the work culture. We will take an in-depth look in later chapters. Here, I just wanted to bring an awareness to the importance of a calm, helpful, and supportive leadership. Why? Because leadership affects the atmosphere of the workplace, the work environment, how things are done. Management has a major influence on that arena and how workers treat each other as well. It's coming from the top, trickling to the floor staff. For now, I will say, I do not know or understand. For now, I will say, I do not know or understand. For now, I say, do you know or understand your work culture? Do you know how things are done in your workplace? Do you know how things are done in your workplace? Major stress. Major stress. I'll give you major stress. I'll give you an and major stress. I'll give you an and they say major stress. I'll give you an and they say major stress. I'll give you an and they say it's major stress. I'll give you an and they say it's in and they say it's in. Do something about it. Don't ignore it. Do something about it. You've got the power. All right. Let's carry on. Burnout has become a leading cause of workplace disengagement. Marital strain. Yes, married people are getting affected too. Marital strain, family breakdown. You hear people that I just can't do this anymore. The other reason, I remember a part of project management, They said the other reason why projects fail is lack of communication. So if things are not going right, don't seal your mouth and hope the other person will be psychic and read your mind. They'll be psychic and read your body language. No, open your mouth and say what is going wrong. Say it. Say what is happening. Communicate, especially in marriages. Communicate. Talk to each other. Don't ignore a problem. Talk. Discuss it. Yes, if it's going to be some screaming, talk. At least you're talking. Don't start shanking each other. No. If it has come to that, then stop the communication. It means you failed. You need a third party. That was just for the married people. Communicate. But communication is important everywhere. At work, at school, at home, with your children, with your animals. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Even like I was saying, new tech has been implemented and you don't know how to use it. Open your mouth and say, where can we go to get this training if it has not been offered? Open your mouth. Attend those classes and learn how to use it. Ask questions. Don't be embarrassed to say, I'll be the only one just asking and asking. No, ask. Because you're the one who's going to benefit. And there could be some people who are being quiet, yet they actually want to ask the same questions. So ask for your own health and safety. Communicate. God gave us it so that we can use it. That's why those who can't speak, they can even sign, because communication is important. If it was not important, then no sign language would have been invented, because they say we can do without talking, but we can't do without talking. So use it. Use it. I was reading yesterday the other trick, listening. So as much as I'm talking, I need to also have the capacity to listen. Listen. Just because I have listened, I will learn something. Is there not a scripture that says, my people perish for lack of knowledge? So the lack of knowledge causes me to perish. But if I found out information about something, then I will be empowered to do something about it. I will be empowered to fight, win. I wanted to say it because I'm equipped with knowledge. All right. So, like I was saying, burnout is becoming the leading cause of workplace disengagement, marital strain, and family breakdown, compassion fatigue in caregivers and pastors, escalated physical illness. Yes, I can attest to that. When I became proper burnt out and was not even aware, it was burnout causing this. The amount of sick days I started taking and going to the doctor, this and this, ill, I'm sick and this, oh. And you're like, but I'm resting. How come I'm not getting refreshed? And you know, when you don't know what's happening, when you're not aware of what is triggering your illness, I should have figured it out when I am away from that environment. I feel fairly okay. It's only when I enter the environment again that these things are triggered. But it never used to be so. Again, that these things are triggered. But it never used to be so. This was again that these things are triggered. But it never used to be so. This was something that just started. That is also another key, that you are in a environment that has caused burnout. That's just something to think about. Caused burnout. That's just something to think about. What happens is, you ask a Christian, but do reliant on him. If there was a problem, get this territory, this profession, in whatever role you're in, never take Jesus out of the driving seat. Never. Make sure he remains your priority. He remains your go-to. Acknowledge him. Refer to him. I like Proverbs 3:5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. 6. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Acknowledge God. Trust in him. Do not lean on your own understanding. And I add, do not lean on your own strength, on your own capabilities. No, we are way past that in this day and era. Unfortunately, it is a principle I ignored, and I suffered for it. Now that I know better, I will completely lean on, rely on, and trust in God. No matter how much expertise I get, I will carry on leaning and relying on God, because that is how you stay on top. I just thought I would put it out there. Anyway, moving on. Out there. Anyway, moving on. The hidden. Anyway, moving on. The hidden endemic in faith communities. Spiritual communities are uniquely vulnerable. Fatigue, you might actually be shamed and fatigue. 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 You might actually be shamed and of victory to your place. To think about. My mind is ticking. To think about. My mind is ticking. And is ticking like this. And is ticking like this. Protection from burnout. Protection from diseases. Protection from burnout. Protection from diseases. Protection from burnout. Protection from diseases. Protection from, there's little chance that an arrow can hit you, but there's high chance. Protection from, there's little chance that an arrow can hit you, but there's high chance that bullets can fly your way. There's high chance a missile can be deployed in your area. There's a high chance that biological warfare. But if you dwell in the secret place of the Most High, you are going. Yes, that was things you need protection from biological warfare. But if you dwell in the secret place of the Most High, you are going. Yes, that was things you need protection from. And if you are not dwelling, I like, because living, you need protection from. And if you are not dwelling, I like, because living in my, you know, the gifts of out from. And if you are not dwelling, I like, because living in my, you know, the gifts of because no longer are from, and if you are not dwelling, I like because I'm living in my, the gifts of out because no longer are fully lived, and you think everything is okay. Shaved, Delilah didn't realize that he had come shaved. Delilah didn't realize that he had come out shaved. Delilah didn't realize that he had come out sometimes available anymore. Still a real attacks, but it's still a real attacks, but it's too late. Eyes have been gouged. Still a real attacks, but it's too late. Eyes have been gouged. It's too late. Eyes have been gouged out the meal. Let's put until that they shall. Let's dwell in the rest of the Most High. It's too late. Eyes have been gouged out the meal. Let's put until that they shall. Let's dwell in the rest of the Most High. This your Christian session. So do bear with me. Do go into all right. Like leaders of those who let's do bear with me. Do go into all right. Like leaders of those who let's help them to get back up again. And when churchgoers, let's help them to get back up again. And when churchgoers tip failing, we need to help differently. Seek, we need to help differently. Seek godly. They will. If that is not, you might as well use anybody who is equipped. If that is not, you might as well use anybody who is equipped. And then they're equipped to deal with this. You might have, but then they're equipped to deal with this. You might have, but seek and see. Pass into the finger. Yes, we know what's going on. When then you can and say by the this happened because of the sons. After they when they are in it, that, like I was saying, Burnout state, if I come to try, I would not have heard because my brain was functioning differently then. So that's just something to think about. Okay, moving on. Like, okay, let me just read. Like I was saying, church leaders are told to pray it away. This leads to spiritualized suppression, where burnout masks itself as spiritual warfare. So you go into spiritual warfare mode, when in fact it's untreated mental emotional and psychological exhaustion. Sorry, I should have my notebook here. Yeah, I'll do that. Because I cannot be sharing everything that's coming into my mind. Otherwise, I won't finish. I'll start taking notes to myself. Yeah, I'll start taking notes to myself so that I will remember it for next time. So what will be ideal? Let us learn from Jesus. What did he used to do? He used to dismiss the crowd and take the disciples away. A good example, we find it in Matthew 14. Matthew 14, I start from verse 20. I'm not going to read much, just a little. It says, this is after he and the disciples had fed 5,000. They fed 5,000 people with a miraculous dish. You can read the story yourself from Matthew 14. Verse 20. They all ate and were satisfied, and the disciples picked up 12 baskets of broken pieces that were left over. The number of those who ate was about 5,000 men, besides women and children. And guess what? Verse 22. Immediately, Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to the other side. What was he doing? While he dismissed the crowd. After he had dismissed them, he went on up a mountain by himself to pray. So there we go. That's a tip. After he had done a big job, he dismissed the disciples and he made sure he put them in a boat and he stayed behind and dismissed the crowd. After he had dismissed the crowd, he went up a mountain to pray and he spent time dwelling, communing with his Father. That is a major life lesson, because what tends to happen is you want to keep going. There's so much work to do. There's so much work to do. I remember when we had the church barbecue, our leader, do you know what she did? There was still so much work to do, but she said, let's leave it for now. Let's leave it. Let's go sit. Let's just be part of what's happening right now. And after everything is over, we can carry on. At that moment, it didn't seem like ideal, but when we sat and started being part of the thing, it was like, wow, this is actually good. She had understood the importance of taking a break. I truly appreciate that. So that's things you can implement in real life. Take a break. Don't just go. If you are a pastor, take a break. Don't be preaching every Sunday. You take time away to refresh yourself. If you cannot take time away, just make sure where you are, you take time to switch off. He went up the mountain to pray and be out by himself. He sent the disciples away and he went to be by himself. Wow. Jesus went to spend time alone by himself in prayer. And if you read the passage, you will see it was a while before he came to rejoin the disciples. And when he came, wow, he was supercharged. All you have to do is read it for yourself. Anyway, moving on. I was just giving you an example of even Jesus himself. He could have said, now they've been fed, let's continue preaching. No, it was time to stop, to have a break. Wow, wow, wow. God is good. Why did he do this? Because he knew the demands of the crowd would never fade away. There would always be need and something to do. Hence, he actively withdrew from the crowd, even though they still wanted more of him and his disciples. He left to refuel and rest. That is something to think about and learn from. May God help me all the days of my life to learn the art of pulling myself away from a situation and resting. Sometimes we lie to ourselves that we are resting. When you are away from work, are you not mentally rehearsing the files you were working on? You are not resting. You are not resting. If you are mentally rehearsing all the work you have done, you're looking through the folders, mentally, you're thinking about how it's going to be tomorrow, it's good to plan. But if that is how you are spending the time you're supposed to be resting, no wonder you're burnt out, because frankly, you're still working. That's just something to think about. Switching off means switching off completely. You move on to a new topic. If you like knitting, start knitting altogether. Not thinking about work whatsoever. Work is completely out of the mind. I'm done for the day. You do something else. If it's going for a walk, it's going for a jog, you're going for a swim. You're not swimming thinking, oh, 20 patients. Oh, I hope they are alive. Oh, I hope I did everything correct. Oh, I hope. This is swimming, by the way. Instead of enjoying your swim and making it work to your advantage, you are mentally rehearsing. So you are not resting. You are not resting. Let me leave it. When your workload keeps piling up, don't put in more hours. Don't work even harder. I tried it. I never caught up. Because when you are burnt out, if you have ever experienced burnout, or you might not know you are burnt out, if a task used to take you 5 minutes and nothing has changed about that task, now it's taking you 30 minutes, something is wrong and you need to address that situation. So don't work harder. Step back and think, reevaluate, pray, ask God for help. If you're not a Christian, ask, do you have a mentor? Do you have somebody you look to? Ask them for help. Say, I seem to be struggling in this area. What's happening? No matter how hard I try, I just can't finish. What am I doing wrong? Maybe if they're kind enough, they can watch you doing it and they will help you pinpoint you are going wrong here, there. And they can give you strategies to get back on form. Speak it. Ask for help. So don't work even harder. No. Close the books. Go home and rest and refuel. There are AI tools out there willing to take on some of the meaningless tasks. Why not learn how to use them and incorporate them in your tasks? Sorry, pastors. You cannot use AI to write your sermons. You need to hear fresh from God and then feed your flock from the throne of God, not from AI, from the throne of God. Sila. Just wanted to highlight that there is help out there if you are willing to access it. So, what were we missing? We often treat burnout as an individual weakness or a bad week at work, but burnout is a public health issue, a systemic failure, a moral blind spot, because nobody even acknowledges it. I don't think all the years I've worked I've ever heard of burnout being mentioned, not even once. So people don't acknowledge it, or they don't even know it exists. So I am blowing the whistle. Burnout is out to get you. Get it before it gets you. Build resilience, the mind. Build resilience and you will be okay. You will be okay. Even if it's they're trying to knock at your door, you can say, I will not open. Lock it out. You've got the power to do that. We have emergency system for fire, crime, and illness. But what about when someone's soul is collapsing? We don't have sirens for silent suffering, but we should. Burnout is not depression, but they are related. Burnout and depression are often confused because they share common symptoms. Remember yesterday we talked about syndrome, a group of symptoms that are found together, and then we can say it is this happening because this group of symptoms are happening at the same time in your life. So you have this. They share common symptoms, depression and burnout. And remember, if you do not do something about your burnout, it can slip into depression. Why? Because they say they share common symptoms. For example, fatigue, sadness, and disengagement. These are just a few examples of common symptoms. Burnout is situational. Like I was saying, when I left that environment, I would feel way much better. There was no longer bricks sitting on top of my head. But because I had burnt myself to a crisp, it took months and months and months to do the effect of burnout. Unfortunately for me, I was like a candle burning from both ends. So my personal life, something else is happening. My work life, something is happening. So I'm burning both ends. If I had not taken the time to take a full stop, who knows what would have happened to my mind? I might have gone beyond depression. But thank God, I came to a full halt. And you should have seen my face. You should have seen my face. God can restore. You can take steps to also restore. So burnout is situational and often reversible if caught early. So here is a comparison: burnout, depression. In burnout, burnout is caused by prolonged stress or heavy workloads, overwork. Whereas depression can occur without a clear stressor. They just slip into a depression. I will have to argue that is not quite true, really. We say without a clear external stressor, because it's not external. It is internal. Why people go into depression? Most of the things are internal. Things they have refused to confront. Like I didn't tell you about the situation, but I refused to confront it. I refused to admit it is what it is. And I chuggered on, and I burnt out from one end of the candle and work on the other end. External situations, overworking, long hours, this and this, those are external. So I would say depression is internal. What is happening to you internally will trigger depression. That is why burnout can end up depression, because you are no longer just tired. It is now moved on to stress. You are now stressed out. And stress is an emotion. And emotions are regulated by what? The brain. So it has moved inward. And that's when it becomes extra dangerous. It's no longer just being tired, outside work, this and this. It has moved in. It knocked and you opened the door. That's just something to think about. Okay, the other factor is emotional exhaustion, especially from work or caregiving. So again, it is physical activity that is causing this burnout, physical activity. Whereas here, depression is a persistent low mood, lack of interest in all areas. So it's coming from within your emotions, within. And I was watching The Good Doctor. They had an episode of somebody who had chronic depression. They were like, oh, we don't know why she's just slipped into this depression. We don't know like how to help her. Blah, blah, blah. She's been like this, reckless, doing this and this. It's because of her depression, blah, blah, blah. And then this elderly doctor, well matured in his career, he said, have you tried to look at things from the sister's point of view? I hope I'm getting it right. Or from the brother's point of view, instead of your own medical point of view. Have you? When she did that, she went and talked to the brother, and the brother vocalized this and that. And then she encouraged him to go talk to the sister. Communication. And for the first time in years, they had a heartfelt conversation. They talked about the issue that had brought on the depression, but they were saying it was caused from an unknown cause. But when they sat down and were honest with each other, the cause was unveiled. The problem is sometimes we don't want to talk about it. It's too painful. It's such a terrible memory. Some people will go as far as, I'll never forgive. I can't talk about it. Don't talk about it. The moment you try to talk about it, you have upset everyone. Yes, somebody will go into a depression because something you don't talk about, you are giving it power. You are giving it power to eat at you. You are not doing yourself any favors when you're not talking about it. It's killing you silently. Talk about it. Get rid of it. Take its power away. Take its power away. Talk about it. Take its power away. That is why those fidos and whatever, they say, if you tell your parents, if you tell anyone, I'll kill them. Because they only thrive when the victim is silent. The moment the victim opens their mouth, they lose their power. They can no longer do that harmful thing. So open your mouth. Be truthful. Talk about the issue. Talk about the problem. That's just something to think about. Another issue is burnout is often relieved by rest or environment change. And this rest is when you switch off completely. I cannot be lying down here and thinking about patient in bay 2 and say I'm resting. I'm lying down, but I'm not resting because my mind is preoccupied by patient in bay 2. So I'm not resting. Resting is completely switching off from the task, completely taking myself away from that task. Now I know why some people drink and drink and drink until they are properly drunk, because they're trying to switch off. But sometimes even drinking cannot make your brain switch off. You will see, I don't drink personally, but you will see in the movies when the person is drunk, they're still talking about their problem. So the alcohol did not help you switch off. It is an active activity. I literally have to cause myself to switch off when the thought comes. There is a scripture that says pulling down strongholds and arguments. You pull them down. So when a thought comes in and you don't want that thought in your head, you say, no, 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 no. No, not today. No. It's a fight. And only those who are persistent will win that fight. If a thought just comes and I go, yeah, yeah, that's true. Guess what? It won't be just that one thought. More and more thoughts will keep coming because I have agreed with that one. It will go invite more friends to come and feed my brain with more and more thoughts. And before I know it, I'm why are you crying? I don't know. Something just told me this and this. I have agreed with the nothing that came into my brain to tell me. Yet I had the power when it came to say, you are useless. I'll say, oh, no, thank you. I'm very useful. I might not be doing this and this right now, but I am a very useful person. Thank you very much. Go try next door. You have the power. Don't agree with negative thoughts that get implanted into your mind. I told you yesterday about battlefield of the mind. All the battles in life are fought and won in your mind. It's happening in here. It's happening in here. Okay, burnout is often relieved by rest or environmental change. Depression may require long-term therapy and in some instances, medication. Burnout can lead to depression if unaddressed. And depression affects every area of your life. It is intrusive, very intrusive. So let's do something about burnout. Kick it out of your life. Kick it out of your workspace. Kick it out. Build those strongholds that keep it out. Mental resilience, self-awareness, self-control, good time management, collaboration, delegation. All these are tricks and tips on how to survive. And guess what? Say no. No is a very powerful word. When it has just gotten too much, you say no. Thank you. No. This book aims to help readers recognize burnout early before it escalates into deeper emotional and physical breakdown. New topic: where the system fails. Governments, churches, and organizations have failed to create accessible early intervention systems. They have failed to integrate mental, physical, and spiritual care. They have failed to educate communities on what burnout looks like. They have failed to destigmatize asking for help. The word stigma. We don't have burnout response units, burnout safety nets, or burnout leave policies. No. Yet the human toll is staggering. If you remember the statistics we read earlier on, if over 50% of workers are suffering from burnout, it's too much. That's way too much. So some burnout must early this point. Use a focused response. Anatomy of burnout. That is looking at the mind, body, and spirit. Why? So that you can spot it before it spirals. The anatomy of burnout. Knowing what burnout looks like is important. This is just a side note. It is very, very important. All right, the anatomy of burnout. Mind, body, spirit perspective. Burnout is not a sudden explosion. It's not sudden. It is that extra shift you took when you shouldn't have. It is that extra paperwork you did when your brain told you were tired. It is that meal you missed when you were completely hungry. You know your brain uses lots of calories. It is that water you did not drink when your brain was crying for that water. It is that walk you did not take when you needed time away. It is that switching off you did not do when it was essential. So it is not sudden, you're suddenly burnt out. It is piling up little by little. Every time you say yes when you should have said no, you're building a brick. You're building a brick. You're building. And the bad thing about burnout is you can still function. You know something is off, but you can still function. Many people are functioning with diseases they don't know where they came from. They came from burnout. They are now living with a disease that they should have never developed before because they ignored the signs of burnout. Had they recognized the burnout, the disease would have never happened. That's just something to think about. So let's get knowing this burnout so that we can recognize it, prevent it, and stop it altogether. We need it out of our lives. I'm happy I got rid of it, and I am equipped now to tell others about it, and in whatever endeavor I'm going to do in the future, kick it out and keep it out. When it tries to creep in, I will spot it. And I'm no longer shy to say no. Because sometimes you say no, but then feel guilty for saying no. Then you compensate by over saying yes. Because you felt guilty for saying no. Then you start saying yes to make up for that one no. That is a no. Let your no be your no, and a yes be a yes. Don't yet later on say, oh, I'm talking about work. In life, sometimes you say no, but then you think, perhaps I should just go for support. Perhaps that's a different issue. Okay, no, I'm tired of sitting. All right. Burnout is not a sudden explosion. It's more like a slow leak. By the time you feel completely drained, it's been brewing for weeks, months, or even years. Like I was saying, many people have diseases that came from burnout because they've learned to live with the burnout. They know something is not quite right in them, but they just don't know what it is. So they're continuing that vicious cycle of burnout, the one it feeds off. That's why I said I'm blowing the whistle and pointing the compass in the direction of stopping burnout. The earlier you can see the signs, the easier it is to reverse. Yes, the earlier you spot the signs of burnout, the easier you'll be able to reverse it. For me, because I had been burnt out for years and years, it took months and months to undo the effects of burnout. The mind, when your mental reserves start to unravel or fry. That's just the heading. It reads, burnout begins in the mind more often than we realize. What are the early signs? Decision making, fatigue. You can't make a decision. You can't make. Try taking somebody who is burnt out to McDonald's. Just try it. They're just standing there. They're looking at the board. They're just overwhelmed. It's not that they don't know what they want, but they are fatigued. They can't even make any more simple decisions. Decision fatigue. Everyday choices feel like monumental tasks. For example, ordering a meal at McDonald's becomes a crisis. You just stand there unable to decide, or end up ordering something because everybody's like, please, we're waiting. The queue is building, isn't it? And you know that, like, come on, we're waiting. The queue is, or step aside whilst you think. You just end up just like, okay. But that's not what you wanted. Or the person with you ends up ordering for you because you can't even. And that's not a good place to be. I say this because I've been there. So I understand. Another symptom, dull concentration. Reading the same paragraph 3 times and you still don't remember what you read. Can you imagine admitting a patient and having to read a discharge letter and you have a dull concentration? How long will you be reading that discharge letter? And how much detail will you leave out? Your brain is refusing to cooperate. You will be at it for hours and hours and yet still not finish that admission. If this is happening to you, it doesn't have to be admission. It could be just a simple task. You are trying to complete a project. You are at it, writing that report for hours and hours. You can't seem to finish. Others have already ended in their reports and you are still like nowhere. Your concentration is now down. No matter how many hours you put in, you might eventually finish. But boy, oh boy, oh boy, by the time you are done, you know you are done. If this is happening to you and you used to be able to do that task in minutes, then it's time to step back, take time off, and evaluate what needs to change. Another symptom that your mind has been affected, cynicism starts creeping in. I remember when we started our training, one of our teachers says, when you start to become cynical, leave. That's because I don't think anybody knew about burnout in the workplace. So yes, if you don't know what's going on, best to remove yourself from the situation. You don't necessarily have to leave. You can take time off and switch off and reevaluate your life. When cynicism creeps in, you notice your thoughts turning negative. That's not a happy bunny to be around, is it? Or sarcastic, even about things you used to enjoy. Then it's time to exit or take a long break to reevaluate and decide on next steps. Believe me, this level affects everyone around you, so you need to deal with it as soon as possible. When you become cynical, it affects even your colleagues. It affects everyone around you. I'm talking about being burnt out. Let me just stretch my legs 2 minutes. I'm not going away. Well, I'm standing just to stretch and give my bottom a little break. I've been sitting for a while. that will also give you time to have a drink, have a little break. So I'll be back. I'm coming back. I'm not going away. I just need to have a little break. All right, see you in a bit. Oh, yeah, that was good. And my bottom was like, no, perhaps I should get a more comfortable chair. Oh, I really needed that. Thank you for allowing me that. So let's continue. Another symptom to show that your mind has been affected is irritability. So when you get annoyed, irritable, much more easily, you're snapping at everyone, and people are just like, eh. Little annoyances trigger oversized reaction. So if that has ever happened to you, you just said a little something and it got taken out of proportion, you know what was happening. And sometimes it is also the fact that it is a sensitive area for them. Maybe the thing you said is a sensitive area. So that's just something to think about. You see people crying, literal tears, crying. They break down. The level of fear and anxiety skyrocketing. When you see this or when you experience this, know that the monster named burnout has paid you a visit. It has crept in unnoticed. I know we cannot all take time off, but time off used well, like when you finish your work, be it at 7, I'm talking in the nursing field, be it at 7, be it at 8, when you finish, completely log off, completely shut down, log off. But time off used well is better than quitting your role altogether. So you will feel reinvigorated, you will feel fresh. Why is all this dull concentration, cynicism, irritability, decision fatigue happening? Why is it happening in the mind? Why is it happening? Because chronic stress pushes the brain into survival mode, prioritizing immediate threats over long-term thinking. So your body is trying to conserve self-preservation. That explains why people quit. Cortisol levels stay elevated, thus impairing memory and focus. You know, cortisol, it is a very useful hormone in the body. Why? It regulates vital bodily functions, including your metabolism, which explains a lot. Your immune response, there you go, it becomes short. Your blood pressure, these are normal functions. Cortisol is a good thing, it's not a bad thing. You need it. because its job is to regulate your metabolism. Naturally, you need it. It regulates your metabolism, it regulates your blood pressure, your immune response, your sleep and wake pattern. But when you're in the burnout mode, it might become away, depending on how long you've been in that situation. Thus, you might end up experiencing. Let me read. If extra doses are released in response to stress, high level of cortisol in the body can lead to high blood pressure, weight gain, sleep change, and many other things. Like I was saying, your immune system is on, and that can go on forever. There will come a point when it will just drop. It will realize, well, I think this is here to stay. I might as well slow it down. And then you start experiencing fatigue, sicknesses, this and this, because your cortisol levels are not normal. They are all over the place. That was just by the way, anyway. Over time, your brain becomes less flexible, making creative problem solving harder. Hence, you cannot think of obvious solutions. Something so obvious, you can't think of it. Brain fog. All because of the stress and pressure the brain is going through. Can you see why we need to get rid of burnout? It makes you dull as a human. Dull, dull, dull. And I know we are all sharp and clever individuals. And no one is aiming to become a dull individual. But when we allow burnout to take root in our lives, then we become dull. We wonder why people are making what we call stupid decisions. Burned out. They don't care anymore. What's the point? What's the point? What's the point? What? They are burnt out and they don't see a way out. I'm showing you a way out. How? By first recognizing what's happening. If you're experiencing any of these symptoms, you're like, okay, then do something about it. Do something about it. Okay. Over time, your brain becomes less flexible, making creative problem solving harder. Hence, you cannot think of obvious solutions because of all the stress and pressure the brain is going through. Watch out for a shrinking emotional bandwidth. I can't. I will not. Which is exhibited by you saying or feeling like, I just can't deal with this anymore. Je m'en peux pas. I was reading about emotional intelligence, and Goleman, this is a gentleman who wrote about emotional intelligence, his surname is Goleman, talks about self-awareness and what that means. I loved the fact that emotions are feelings used by what is going on inside us and around us. And being self-aware means you recognize feelings that take you away from your baseline. The moment it starts happening, like you hear people, I give examples of movies and I don't offend anybody in it. You hear people in movies say, you're making me feel jealous. And that's not me. I don't like it. I don't like it. Because they are self-aware. They know naturally they themselves are not a jealous person. And what this person is doing is making them feel jealous. So they have an awareness of who they are and who they want to be. And this is not it. So they say, no, thank you. No, thank you. And they walk away. So they have an awareness of emotions that take them away from their baseline. That is a really good technique. I am learning it to become more aware of my emotions and those that make me feel not quite right. Why is that? Well, because you know yourself and understand yourself. You know who you are and what makes you tick. In a nutshell, you understand your abilities, your thoughts, and everything else about you. Thus, you can quickly recognize when something is off. For example, loss of curiosity. You are no longer curious when you used to be very curious. If you heard the air, bah, you would run to the window. What's happening? What's happening? What are the neighbors up to? Ooh, ooh. Now, not even a big banana will make you move. Not even a big banana will make you move. You are no longer curious because you are tired. You are worn out. You have checked out basically. Your motivation kaput. If you used to people watch, they might as well be invisible. It doesn't impress you much anymore. If you used to bed watch, a rare, unique dodo can show up and you would not even notice it because you are out. That's not a good place to be. And sometimes people don't even need to be burnt out. What is stealing our joy? Phones. Phones. People are walking about like this. When all this beauty is around us, people are walking like this. Outside, we are missing life. When you're outside, put your phone away. Yes, have it ready to take pictures. People have to take pictures. But don't let it steal from what's happening around. So much is happening out there. So much. So we move on to the body. The body, when stress starts speaking through your physiology. That's the title. I read. Your body often tells the truth before your mouth does. They call it your body language. So, what I'm saying, my body can deceive me. Because suppose I'm trying to lie to you. My mouth is saying this, but my body will tell you that I'm lying by the way I am behaving. Early signs. So your body can do other things apart from body language. It can do other things. In this case of burnout, it will be persistent fatigue. So you say, I'm fine, but bam, persistent fatigue shows up. Sleep doesn't feel refreshing. You're just tired. Even after hours and hours of sleeping, you still feel tired. Another one is muscle tension, shoulders, jaw, neck consistently tight. Even a massage won't help. When they're massaging you, you're feeling even more tense. digestive changes. You've got an upset stomach, bloating, constipation, or sudden shift in appetite. Frequent bloating, constipation, or sudden shift in appetite. Frequent colds and illnesses due to compromised immune system or system. Why it happens? On high alert, sympathetic dominance is immune and digestive function while disrupted, leading to poor restoration. An ongoing need for without your coffee and coffee. Another thing, and not palpitations. I can attest to palpitations because you could hear. Another thing, and not palpitations. I can attest to palpitations because you could hear. It's like this. But because it came back normal, even I knew. But when I was in that environment and all sorts of things, only when things become done, I should have been. I should have been. Constant stress keeps your nervous. This suppresses immune reserves. Sleep cycle gets disrupted. What to watch out for? Ongoing noticeable changes in heart rate, get nuzzling. What to watch out for? Ongoing noticeable changes in heart rate, get nuzzling. Got a low appetite or high appetite. Now, when your inner fire starts to dim until it's way too late, because I don't, many of us concentrate on this part, but when I die, guess what? This body, the spirit, that's why there is light, and it is not just a notion, it is a reality. When you die, it's not the end. Life goes on. That's a story for a different day. I just wanted to put it out there. Death is not the end of you. It is the end of this body. You see, you remember Meet Dave? If you've watched the movie Meet Dave by Eddie Murphy, there was a little Dave and there was a big Dave. The little Dave would go into little Dave and control big Dave and move around. And that's the Dave that everybody was talking to and interacting with. But the person they were actually talking to was the little Dave. If you've never watched the movie Meet Dave, you would not understand the concept, but that's exactly what's happening. Your spirit is inside this body, and my spirit is the one who's talking and conversing to you right now. My body is just the instrument that is used to accommodate my spirit, because as a spirit, if I were to come just as a spirit, you can't see me, and I have no legal right to be on planet Earth. That is why when one dies, they are gone, they're finished, dead, kaput, no more. We put them in the ground. But the spirit lives on. That's dead, kaput, no more. We put them in the ground. But the spirit lives on. That's why there's such a thing as ghosts. Those spirits which refuse, spirit lives on. That's why there's such a thing as ghosts, those spirits which refuse. I don't know how the concept of ghost works, but simply spirits which, let me leave it. Disconnection is yourself anymore. Like, who's that? Of purpose. You lose your joy. Why is that important to hold on to your joy? Because joy. Why is that important to hold on to your joy? Because joy gives. The joy of the Lord is my strength. If your strength is gone, then you are in trouble. Joy gives you strength. Achieving this and that, they're so trouble. Joy gives you strength. Achieving this and that, they're so bad. Achieve and do. So you withdraw from your colleagues, your church members. You withdraw from your colleagues, your church members. How this only applies. How this only applies for a person who likes spending time by the evaluations and see where you are at. Do something about it. Evaluations and see where you are at. Do something about it. To be left alone, then something. Evaluations and see where you are at. Do something about it. To be left alone, then something really sweet, thoughtful. Why it and there is no room for anything else. Definitely, the energy is so for help. So you start, and that is if you are even lucky thinking about prayer. It's no longer crossing. Burnout might altogether crowd out prayer. Hence, you don't do it and not even aware you have stopped praying. That's a scary place to be in. Without spiritual fuel, life starts to feel like just surviving rather than truly living. Why? Because you are hanging on for dear life. The storm is raging, and holding on is all you can do. Those who let go find themselves in the land of depression. What to watch out for? Worship and prayer feel like a task instead of a connection. You're having to force yourself. You don't enjoy it anymore. You're having to force yourself. You don't enjoy it anymore. You struggle to feel hope about the future. No hope. No hope. No hope. That is not a good to be in. So do something about it. If you ignore that you out, if you ignore that you restore either your mind, body, or spirit, you can see change happening. Since you're a spirit man, I would suggest you work on your spirit and body. Because without a body, you are out of here. You are out of commission. Once your body gets in shape, all the toxic hormones that had been, they start to clear. Your cell to normal. You can now think, you can now concentrate, you can now focus. The brain fog goes. You can think, pray, and reason well. It's like the skills. Quick self-check. Burnout early warning scale. These are some questions you can ask yourself just to find out. You can say, I wake up tired even after a full night's sleep. Yes, no? Small tasks feel overwhelming. Yes, no? Cynical or negative than I used to. Yes or no? I have lost interest in activities or I really enjoy. Again, you answer yes or no. Myself than I used to. Yes or no? I have lost interest in activities or I really enjoy. Again, you answer yes or no. My spiritual life feels distant or I. So if you answered yes, life feels distant or I. So if you answered yes, most of them you are high risk burnout. You need a deliberate recovery plan. Deliberate recovery plan. One available at the end of the book. If it's a mixture of yeses and no's, it's early burnout started active recovery strategy. Also, end of the book. And if you have answered no, or maybe just a one yes, just a mild, or you're not at all, but knowing that burnout exists, you might want to just, but knowing that burnout exists, you might want to just read about it and take preventative steps. Also, want to just read about it and take preventative steps. Also, end of the book. Want to just read about it and take preventative steps. Also, end of the book. Burnout and strategy. And strategy. And strategy.